Hey, healing community. If you're listening, that little delay was because I was doing me some little poses for the folks watching on YouTube. And if you've never watched the Hot Girls Healing Podcast, go over to YouTube, watch an episode over there. I'm Salenna Green, and this is the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. You made it to another episode. Ew. A little bit for you and a little bit for me, right? Because it's give and take. So, as I said, I'm Salenna Green. This is the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. And today, y'all, I am actually feeling very comfortable, very loosey-goosey. I am joined by the one and only Mercy. Okay, Mercy, Mercy me. I always be singing that whenever I see Mercy, and I know she's tired of it. But she allows us. And today we are here to talk about one of the most important and transformative things in my life, which is ritual. Ritual, y'all. So I'm joined by someone who has engaged in ritual with me recently. Before we talk more about that, y'all, Mercy is going to tell you what you need to know about her before you hear what we're about to talk about.
Hey, listen, this intro, let's go ahead and have it every morning, please, for me to wake up to because it's so powerful. No, but thank you for having me on, Selena. Yes, so my name is Mercy Daramola. I am currently Seattle based. I'm from LA, Nigerian American, Black woman. Uh, and what about me? So we were just talking before the recording started about being a person who has many different facets. And so I am a former educator, current, and actually always artist. I am, I'm a lot of things. Depending on the context is what we'll talk about. But I would say
Director, producer.
I do a lot. But yeah, so I'm a reader. I'm an artist. I would say I'm a capital B Black woman who loves being Black, and and the range of Blackness and the power and beauty in Blackness. So that's who I am, and I'm excited to talk about rituals today too.
Y'all, we talking to a whole goddess today, so that's
Okay,
all. That's
gas
all.
me up.
That's all. It's such a beautiful thing. And the reason why I say director and producer, y'all, is because Mercy actually was directing and producing me, like in this stage production. I've talked about it a little bit on this show, but I was really saving this experience, this story for this episode because it was recently an experience where I engaged in community ritual in a way that I had never done so. Maybe outside of like being raised Christian, because when we talk about ritual, I actually did want to start the conversation around where we were introduced to ritual. And I don't know that for Mercy, but I know for me, I was introduced to ritual through religion. Like that was the first place that I encountered rituals. I was raised Christian by a woman who was raised Catholic. If you know anything about those two religions, they actually love them some rituals. So there are many things that for me, I found rituals are things that are done with intention. They are things that are done on a reoccurring basis. So maybe there's been rituals in my life that I've only done once. I cannot tell you any. I don't remember them. Maybe I don't know. But any ritual that I've done it more than once. And those were quickly my understandings of ritual. There's intention. There's this knowledge of this has been done before, and we are doing this in this way for a reason, to honor certain things, to get certain results, to maybe feel certain feelings, connect to a certain situation or a person or a place or, whatever it was. Yeah. So that was kind of how I was introduced to rituals. And it was something that was taught to me. Ritual was taught.
Yeah, I love that framing of ritual, especially thinking about where it comes from. Some of our more conscious areas. I also was raised Christian, um, and feeling that that's I feel like the one space where rituals feels capital R. So you see it in like in the big ways of like what do you when you first start, like what are some things that don't change, or when they change, it's like a really intentional conversation about that change around ritual. And but I will say what I've learned over the last couple years, also because of the play and the program that we were a part of, Ashe Theater,
Mm-hmm.
um, is I've learned to zoom out to rituals and then zoom really in, because I think that
Mm-hmm.
I've discovered that ritual is so much more than the I think the highlight ways that we think about rituals. I see
Mm-hmm.
rituals now as the things that we do on a conscious to subconscious level to keep us the version of ourselves, or keep us towards the version of ourselves that we want to be. So I was thinking today before our podcast, I was like, what do I want to think about rituals? But I was thinking about when I sit in my car, some of the first things that I do in my car before I go, that's a ritual of like how am I going to drive? And so just being able to see rituals and both take the holy out of it sometimes, because I feel like sometimes you think about sitting in front of your altar, that feels very ritualistic, and it is. But what you do in the shower, like do you start with your feet up or your head down? Like that is
Mm-hmm.
also a ritual too, because that's what I see as my way of keeping myself in the version of wholeness that makes sense to me in this season. And as I change, then I have a new ritual to help me keep myself in that version of wholeness.
Yes, because there's like a difference, right, between the a ritual that you practice because it was one that was passed down versus
Yeah,
the rituals that you create for yourself, whether
yeah,
intentionally or unintentionally.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
recently, we just had a new moon
Mm-hmm,
a few days
mm-hmm.
ago from recording this, y'all. When it comes out, I don't know what to tell you about the stars, but we just experienced a new moon a few days ago,
Yeah,
and I actually didn't consciously know that it was the new moon.
yeah.
But during the new moon, it's a really good time to set intentions. It's a
Mhm.
good time to goal set. It's a good time to think about what do I want things to be. And
Yeah.
then, you set action behind those intentions, obviously. But this last new moon, I didn't know that it was the new moon, but here I was journaling and I felt
Yeah.
inspired.
Mhm.
Something said, write down what you want to come soon.
Come
And so
on.
I was just journaling. I said, soon my life will include, and I bulleted like a list, five, six things that I was calling um, into being,
Mhm.
really. I
Mhm.
Things that I was manifesting. And it was like 2 days later, I was talking to my sister and she was like, yeah, and the new moon just passed. And I was like,
Wait a
I said,
minute. Yeah.
no, you're kidding. The new moon just passed. And then I told her and she was like, see, like sometimes you feel it and
Yeah.
when you listen to your intuition, it is clocked in. You
Yeah.
don't have to be like, oh, am I gonna know? Am I gonna be tied in? Will I know what to do? You will know what to do. All you
Mm.
need to do is listen to yourself.
And I feel like there's also this beauty of allowing yourself to go from the unconscious, but then I think rituals can become capital R rituals when there is more attention and intention put into
Mm-hmm.
it. So like honoring that there's times when it might be like you mentioned a one time thing, like, oh, I need to do this in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then also saying, like, if in that example, if you're like, you know what, I like the fact that at the new moon, I felt called to do this thing. I want to make this a recurrent practice. And then you kind of like provide more presence, provide more intentionality behind it, so that you can infuse that ritual with
Mm-hmm.
with that intention. And then you're able to also then track, okay, how does this ritual continue to hold me to the version of myself that I want to be? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think because I'm also always thinking about like to what end, like the things that we're doing, like what's the purpose of it? And so I think being able to look at the ritual and say like, what is the purpose of the ritual? Because like to our example about being in church, or just like being raised Christian, I know that I don't go to church as much anymore, but there is a part of me that still feels like Sunday mornings feel like the right time to be in this like worship space. Like even if I don't do it, like I have my own way that I think use Sunday mornings still to be kind of slow and to still be a place where I feel like I'm more connected spiritually Sunday mornings no matter what. So I might not listen to gospel music, but I might not also listen to like the most like the most hood music Sunday mornings because it feels something important about the rituals that I was raised in and that I accepted that I still kind of hold this container on Sunday mornings for that. Um, and as I think about how do I use that same example of changing what used to be a ritual, but paying attention to what do I want it to still be? What do I want to let go of, or what do I want to keep as you change versions of who you are?
Oh, that's so beautiful and so relevant. Like,
Mhm.
it's like this thing where it's like sometimes you're building a ritual, sometimes a ritual finds you,
Ooh, yeah,
and then you and this ritual, like, you go in with that intention. And I feel like
yeah,
that intention is magic. Like,
it is.
intention really is what creates magic. In any way that magic is real in this world, it's through intention.
It really
Because
is.
yeah, because that relationship with ritual is amazing. I've definitely had, again, back to this production with Ashe Theater, there
Hmm.
was a living, breathing altar on stage with us every day that was built with intention by someone who is not new to this. She is true to this, and she placed every item on this altar so intentionally. She left space for us, and we co-created this beautiful altar in a way where we were able to bring in our own offerings to the altar and call our ancestors to the space. And it was like through that the ritual came to me, but then I added my own magic, and it was like I felt called back to this altar. And every day of this show, and we did, we did a few showings,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
like I the first time I went to that altar, it just felt like the right thing. Like, I had thought about it. I said, I'm going to bring something to this altar. What am I going to bring? I don't know, but it came to me what I would bring to the altar. And I have what I call my travel stones. I have a pouch
Oh,
of crystals that I take with me every single place that I go. And or if it's just light travel, I'll take like one or two of them. But some of those crystals are with me everywhere. And I brought those crystals to the altar and I set them there, and then it felt like I was just called back to that altar. And then so this ritual developed every single day before we would do a show. I would be back there at that altar, and I would notice other cast members. Everyone seemed to have their own relationship, their own ritual with the same altar. So it's like not only was I doing my own ritual, but I was also a part of this communal ritual where we are all sharing energy and all pouring into a pot and all taking from this pot. And it was beautiful. It was this, this way that ritual finds you and you find ritual.
yeah. I love that. Yeah, that word like relationship is key. Like it feels like an example, yeah, of the play. It was beautiful to see everyone have their own way of either being in the play, but because the play was also part of this directing style or like I'm not sure what the type of it is, but it's called ritual poetic drama. So there is intentionality built into it of rituals, which is I'm also new to. I've only been doing that been that program for a couple of years. So being able to both perform, which is also it's a huge lift, but they were intentional, we were intentional about having the spirit connection with ritual in it. That felt powerful because the things that we were talking about require so much of us, and having that ritual be intentional that we were tending to ourselves, our personal relationships to spirit and whatever that was, but also our relationship to one another felt really powerful.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I've been thinking about rituals um, in this metaphor of kind of like tending to a garden and the garden of who you are as a person or as a community connection. So I'm thinking about the church perspective, like praying before and also praying after. It was almost like making sure that we open the gate together and then we close the gate together after, like we tend to that garden, but also the rituals of our day-to-day selves. Like it's like walking the rows of a garden, like, okay, today I need to make sure my ritual here is supporting like the new moon, like supporting like some new intentions, because we don't necessarily need to do intentions every
Mhm.
morning, but
Right.
seasonally it makes sense to do that. So yeah. I'm also actually in a season where I know that I've been in this conscious incompetence of my rituals. So like
Mhm.
there's this I guess this like theory, I'm not sure what it is, but it's like unconscious incompetence where you don't know what you don't know and that you're not doing well. And then conscious incompetence, you're like, okay, I know I'm not doing what I want to do. And then there's conscious competence where like you know what you're doing, but it takes so much like focus. Like you're not, it's not
Mhm.
quite like ingrained into you. And then there's unconscious competence where like you know what you're doing and it's not even an effort. Like the people who can throw a dinner party without even stressing about it. Like those are
Mhm.
unconscious competence. Like they don't have to think about it. But if you know, like I'm stressing about it, but I can make it happen, that's so.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in a season where I'm like, because I've moved, there's some new stuff in my life where my rituals, I kind of like wake up in the morning, I'm grasping for like what am I doing to keep myself in this version of myself? Because I
Mhm.
know that there's a part of me who has changed, and a part of me who I am or want to be, I'm not quite there yet. So I'm very aware right now of how rituals, yeah, help define who I want to be and help me also check in. Like, okay, if every morning I want to be journaling, if every morning I want to, for me, is touch grass. And that allows me to be very aware of who I am in this season, and
Mm.
whatever that is. And but being also honoring that ritual as the necessary, I think, cultivation for who I want to be in that moment or in that season.
Yes. Like ritual as restoration
Mm-hmm.
and ritual as construction.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Personal.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And also is also checking in, like, because I feel like ritual, going back to your word of relationship, it also is one that doesn't have to be judgment laden either. It's a chance to be like, oh yeah, I'm aligned with who I want to be, or I'm not aligned. Like, how can I get back to that place? Or yeah, I just wanted to check in and be with myself in this way or in these ways that rituals look like.
That's huge for me because
Mm,
sometimes rituals can be very simple. I know a lot of times in shows and in movies and rituals can be these big things. They're theatrical, there's fire, there's
yeah.
sparkles and all that stuff, but it can be very simple. Ritual is, you know, sometimes a ritual that I have is just meditation where all I do is say thank you and
Mm,
I'm just in gratitude. That's it. And
yeah.
that is a ritual of mine. I come back to that periodically when I'm high, when I'm low. I want to sit in
Hmm.
that moment of gratitude and I want to just say thank you. And that
Yeah.
has developed into a ritual over time. Ritual as restoration during the show. It wasn't a Tyler Perry production, but that show was hard.
Yeah.
It was
Wait,
hard to,
nothing else. Yeah. Yes, and yes. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like it was hard to act out some of the scenes because the stories that are real in the Black community, a lot of those stories are sad. A lot of the stories in my family are sad. I've talked about that before. I feel like I'm connected to so many sad stories and I get tired of that because even though that is the truth, it's not our only truth. And sometimes that truth can be exhausting to revisit, to um, be a space that you're engaging in night after night. And so, ritual as restoration was a huge part of my journey with that production. Doing things like taking baths, like just resting, just
Yeah.
corpse pose yoga, just laying back, just being and crying. Y'all, I cry. You know I cry. Y'all know I cry.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I appreciate you sharing just like the different ways a ritual shows up, and one thing I'm also thinking about too is how ritual is also this beautiful exercise of personal power and personal love.
Mm. Mm.
Because I've been thinking more and more about how fundamentally there are spaces where it may feel like you people don't have a choice to do X, Y, and Z thing. Like you might feel like you are kind of limited in your options, but I think what ritual can remind you is no matter what, you can do whatever you want, like fundamentally, because there may be space where, for example, I think the play, like you mentioned, there was a lot of it that was really challenging, that was hard, and at the same time, the ritual as a chance to be like, no matter what will go on outside, I have the chance to step in this way. I
Mm.
can ground myself, and that beautiful example of personal power, like magnified throughout our lives through ritual is, I think, a gift to be able to connect with the divine in whatever way folks call it. Because I've been thinking about what rituals I have and like where I've learned, what I've unlearned. And one thing I think about is where I do and don't feel connected to ritual. So spaces where I feel maybe the most challenge because there's a lot of things going on, and then when I come back I'm like, you know what, at the very least I can do this thing, and being able to do a thing over and over again, even if nothing else feels like it changes, I'm realizing I'm getting to strengthen myself. Like it's just like internal muscle that allows me to continue to show up. So then I think it also challenges you because I feel like if I'm in a ritual in a space that I don't like over and over again, then I'm like, okay, so if I get to continue to like hold myself whole, why am I still in this place? So I think a
Right.
ritual in its best sense should continue to push you to be in spaces and in versions that are the best for you. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, like I know that I am renegotiating. I won't say struggle. I think I'm always renegotiating my relationship to prayer, just because growing up in a Christian environment that felt very prescriptive, and it felt like it removed the individual fingerprints that I think prayers are. I'm
Mm.
always like kind of like, do I pray? How do I pray? But I realize that if I simplify prayer down to communication to the divine, and like I communicate however I do communicate, taking that thread and then thinking about how and when I pray, ideally in those conversations there is some kind of growth. There is some side of, because as people, healing is to the end of being a whole person in my perspective. And so taking that thread even further, like how does rituals help us see ourselves grow and help us find spaces that continue to help us expand into the best versions of who we are and who we want to be.
Mm. Damn. You actually just gave me a lot to think about because now I'm like, hold up. Some of us be engaging in rituals that aren't even good for us. So rituals can be damaging if you let them. It's almost like rituals are like this, almost like it's like a tool. Like ritual is a tool and you get to decide if it's going to be a tool that helps you or harms you.
Agreed. And I think it's I would say it's damaging if the version of who you are is, if rituals are helping you achieve a version of who you are who you don't want to be anymore. But think
Mm.
as, yeah, it's a tool, but then it has to be used in connection with, okay, who do I want to be? Because this ritual helps me get to here. And if you realize, oh, I don't want to be this person, I want to be here, then yeah, ritual getting you there is not great. So then you get a chance to say, let me continue to figure out who I want to be and make sure the rituals are helping me get there. But also, and also acknowledge that this ritual helping you in this way is not wasted. So like
Mm-hmm.
what you've learned about yourself as you are in ritual towards a version of yourself that no longer is still something that you can use towards the version of yourself that you want to be, because that will always continue to change and evolve. And I say that because as I've grown, I've done my best to not look back at versions of myself and say I was wrong, and say
Mm-hmm.
I did the best I could when I was what I knew, and I'm doing better now. But I have to love the version of myself then, as I love the version
Mm-hmm.
of myself now. So if
Yeah.
someone is like, in a ritual that keeps them in a version of life who they don't like, that's like you've learned something. You've learned something about yourself. And I think the hard
Yes.
part would be if you continue to do rituals that you know are now damaging to who you want to be. That's where it becomes like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on? Versus, all right, I heard that. I realized that. Here's another kind of a thought that occurred to me. But there's also a ritual that I know I'm needing to engage in that allows you to say, I release this version of who I was, and the rituals, and creating a ritual to help you transition to who you are and who you want to be. Does that
Yes.
make sense? Because
No, it does because just like our anything, our practices, our coping skills, our perspective, all of that, our rituals should evolve as we do. I
Mhm.
have I have coping mechanisms that I don't need anymore, and I stopped
Yeah,
using them.
yeah,
Or the coping mechanism evolved into one that was more relevant for where I am now in life. And
right.
so I'm all about honoring every single version of myself. I actually don't believe in regrets. I just don't do anything that I would regret.
Right.
That is
Maybe in
actually
a
how I
way.
live my life.
Right.
So I don't believe in regret. I do not do shame as a motivator. What
Right.
I do is evolve. If I know better, I do better, because that's all I can do. Right. And I feel like my relationship with ritual has followed that pattern, in the way that the rituals that I was engaging with earlier were rituals that were taught to me, that were given to me, that were handed down to me. And whether those were completely beneficial for me or not, those were the rituals that I was using until I learned something different. I evolved in a way. I realized I wanted something more or something less than what those rituals were giving me.
Yeah.
And so that has been a journey with ritual that has been deeply personal, and it has inspired a lot of personal power in myself. Ritual has called me into myself, because ritual asks me, what do you need? And then how can you give it to yourself in a way that is intentional and that becomes a lifestyle? And that is the part of ritual that I think is really key. The reoccurring part of ritual has become really important to me for keeping me steady, keeping me on track, keeping me where I'm going, where I want to go. Whether that ritual is evolving over time or not, it is going to be something that I continuously return to. Whether it's, every new moon, every new moon I set intentions, whether it's more consciously because it's the new moon.
Yeah.
But I also try to set intentions actually every day. Like you were saying, you don't have to set intentions every day, and you don't. I set the same intention every day to accept any blessing, miracle, or opportunity that's available to me. Because I like to keep it simple. I don't want to think too much. Universe, creator, just know I'm open and accepting.
I love that. I really love that. And yeah, I loved also the reminder that rituals, it's so personal for everybody, and there is also the opportunity to be offered a ritual and to accept it, and then to be offered a ritual and say, actually, I want to change it, or I actually don't want to do this ritual. Um, and that example of using personal power is so powerful. It's like, it's beautiful to be able to say, like, yeah, folks do this in a certain way. Even in the play that we were in together, I think we had a way of starting, like you mentioned, at the altar. And I don't know, but I don't know if everyone was at the altar, and that's okay. Because it can be a communal thing, but there's also your own spin on it, because that's how we live. But there was also something else that I remember from that play that reminded me about how rituals also have their own, when you like put the magic and energy into them, there's also something beautiful about them, how they can kind of create boundaries in healthy ways. Because we opened the play and our approach with some powerful rituals, but I think we at the end we had to tear down really quickly. And so after the fact, the energy in that space still felt kind of charged for some of us. And we had discussion. We realized we didn't actually close it up. We didn't actually say thank you to the space. And then we opened it to close it. And I think that's also what I was trying to think about for seasons too. Because as you recognize the season is over and the rituals are in it, there's also something beautiful about saying thank you and releasing what no longer serves, and then taking what needs to come with you into the next phase, that intentionality of rituals as well. Because girl, it was the theater felt really like, what are y'all still doing here? Like y'all left a lot of energy and did not say thank you, did not let us go. Like, is this still a thing? So we actually, some of us had like a little, just truly a little ritual to say thank you. We did a lot of opening in that space. We called in a lot of energy, and we released what no longer needs to be there. And that for me was from the first times I realized, and I'm thinking about it now, that yeah, life is seasonal. And being able to say, in this season, this is what's necessary. But as you recognize the season closes, being thoughtful around like what needs to be released, so that as you continue to learn and grow, you can release what no longer needs to come with you. And to your point, accept what's new for you and needed for the next journey.
It's so powerful the way that ritual teaches presence, which is like
Yeah.
what I'm really hearing from you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
presence not only helped us on in a stage production,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but that presence was something that I took with me when I left.
Mm-hmm.
The power and presence does not only exist for an actor on stage, that exists for anyone. Like, I want to be present here in this conversation with you.
Yeah.
To be present in your life is to not feel like life is just passing you by. And that is a feeling that a lot of us has felt before. I have absolutely felt like my life was just passing by and I was just trying to grab onto something. Like, I
Yeah.
just needed to hold on to something.
Yeah.
And presence helps you feel like it's not passing you by. Like, I am stepping. Every single footprint in my path is, I am there for it. I am
Yeah.
there. I am clocked in. I'm locked in. I am walking my path. I'm here. I'm blessing every day of my life.
Yeah.
And every day of my life is different and special and beautiful because of it, because I'm showing up and I'm saying, oh, like, I'm not here. Like, this sucks until I get to my next vacation. And that legit was me. That
Yeah.
was literally my life,
Yeah.
especially in a place in my life where I was am working at a place where I'm not super happy there. I don't love cubicles. I don't love windowless buildings. I don't love staring at a computer screen for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How can I be here? How can
Mhm.
I not just feel like crawling out of my skin because I'm a creative person who deserves to be in the community and under the sun and, with my people, and I'm not having that. And I
Mhm.
had to figure out how to bless every single day of my life,
Yeah.
how to understand that if I am here and if I truly believe that I am where I'm meant to be, doing what I'm meant to do,
Yeah.
then I need to show up like that. And it
Mhm.
took ritual to get me there every single day, meeting myself as soon as I woke up and I know I'm going to go and do this job. I'm going to meet myself and I'm going to be my coach. And that's going to be my ritual. I'm going to show up for myself every time that I'm like, I'm about to go crazy. And then I show up and I say, it's okay. Let's
Mhm.
take a beat. I know what you need. Take a deep breath. Call
Yeah.
in that gratitude. Bless this moment of your life. Girl, I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah. Oof. That's when I tell you, when you mentioned the cubicles, 8 hours a day, I was like, oh, yes, that season. Even the seasons when, like, I know I've been in them where it feels like the road stretches ahead of like where I am now to where I hopefully will be, and it feels like this kind of gray. Like, how do I like find the clarity in each day? And I love the idea of like a ritual slowing down your life and helping you be like one step at a time. Like, let's put every effort and attention into this step, and then you're able to really be like, oh, okay, I don't love all of this, but you get to kind of like both narrow in and open your eyes to how much more than just the things you don't like that your life involves. Um, but I also feel as I'm talking, as I'm hearing you, rituals also have the ability to also challenge us to continue to be in alignment with our lives. So
Mm.
if there's a space, like you mentioned, of being like, you're slowing down your life, you're looking at, like, I don't want to be where I am, but ritual allows me to really pay attention. At a certain point, ritual should also push you in the direction of where you actually want to be, because I wouldn't want to be in a ritual that keeps me locked into a space where I am still uncomfortable, or like
Mhm.
uncomfortable in a way that's not helping.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking about how rituals also help us hold a mirror to ourselves about who, like, the choices that we're making, and if they're in alignment with our best selves, and how
Mhm.
that can also be an important thing to pay attention to in the rituals itself.
Mm. Absolutely. It's all this relationship, this reflection, this gardening, as you say. You don't
Mm-hmm.
just go to that garden one time and then everything just grows beautifully and you good. Like, no, you got to return, you water,
Yeah.
sometimes you're weeding, sometimes you're
Yeah.
putting down some fertilizer.
you know, but it's all still this occurring ritual, this tending to.
Yeah. And it's like relationship with self. And I feel like I've been in the last couple of years in this ritual of like the season has been really intentional and personal. And now I'm in a space where I realize rituals and relationship are even more beautiful when they're in community. So the theater, like when we opened together and we closed together too. So like that knowledge of we're gonna do some really important work together and we'll start together and then we'll end together. Like the idea of how rituals can continue to also open you up to beauty and relationship with others.
Yes.
That's a season I'm learning more about now and I'm excited about it because even more so now, being able to be in deep relationship with yourself, but also deep relationship with other people feels really important. Um, and so I'm exploring like what rituals of connection and intention look like with other people too.
Mm. And that's actually a really beautiful healing
Mm.
that I've experienced in that exact space, because being with people and being present with people in these spaces of community, in the past, it was like I craved it so much that halfway through, I'm just mourning it ending. I'm not even able to be present. I'm not enjoying my time anymore because I just don't want it to end so bad.
Yeah.
But it's like when you are creating these spaces for yourself and you are noticing what's good for you, noticing what environments you need to be in versus the ones that you don't, and you're using ritual as a way to reflect and to construct or, you know, mend whatever it is at that time,
Yeah.
you start to create more of that for you. So these moments that used to feel so fleeting, where it's like I live in darkness and then there's these flashes of light and I just want to cling to the flash of light, and I'm so sad that it's going to end, and I know it's going to end because my life has just been, you know, this gloom.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm creating a life for myself where I'm continuously engaging in the rituals that are bringing me into these spaces of community, into spaces of healing. And now I'm living a life where it's like, I'm looking forward to every day, Monday through Friday. I wake up happy and here for it.
Yeah. Happy and
There's
here
no
for it.
Monday
I
blues here.
love it. Happy and here for it is powerful. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then on the days where I don't, I still show up for myself,
It's
you
still
know, because
showing.
happy and here for it is on my best days. And I don't want to pretend like every single day I'm happy and here for it. But you
Exactly.
know, that is my intent,
That's the
right?
intention. Daily
Yeah.
intention. Yeah. Well, then there's something that you're mentioning too about the ritual and how things evolve over time. So like going from being really excited, but then yeah, that morning before it start, I also tend to be a pre-mourner of like it's gonna end. But I think that happens as I'm thinking about what you're saying. Um, and it's a good reflection of like, is this a one-time thing, or is a ritual? Can you involve rituals in this like connection of hope? So like if I
Mm-hmm.
know that with this ritual it's not a one-time thing, I will make this a pattern. It is something that we do on a regular basis, a rhythm of a ritual that
Mm-hmm.
allows that sense of like the end isn't the end of the relationship. The end isn't the end of this connection or the community. You know that the kickback is going to happen once a quarter. So we're excited, but I know it's not the last time. So yeah, something about the rhythm of a ritual allows for the reminder that there is always hope and magic in life. So it won't look the same every time. Every interaction won't look the same every time. But if you know that this relationship, this friendship, this community, this connection, it's not a flash in the pan. There's something that's going to be built and evolve over time, so that eventually you have, like you mentioned, the happy and here for it life, where it's again like gardening. It's not going to be every day you have a full harvest, but you know that the work that you put in will yield some fruit. So, yeah, I love that.
And another thing that I'm like seeing, I'm just like getting this like bird's eye view of like this, of just like circles, like for some reason, but
Mhm.
it's reminding me of like this relationship that we have with everything, every living thing in the universe, you
Yeah.
know,
The moon phases are on a ritualistic cycle.
Yeah.
The planets, they all have their own spinning cycles. The Milky Way is doing its own huge ritual cycle in, the universe. And we are also doing those. Some of our rituals have this everyday relationship. Some of them that once a month meeting that you have with that link up with the girls, that every 6-month vacation that you try to go on, right? We have these, this is ritual. This is this circular, always occurring, always in flow thing that humans are a part of.
Yeah.
It's,
and it feels like
it's really
it
cool.
allows like a purpose and a hope. Like that's there's some Bible verse on that, I'm sure. But the ritual giving both a purpose to the thing that you're doing, but also a hope for the next thing, or hope for a deepening, the hope for some meaning. So that I would say that maybe at its best, a ritual does give you both purpose and then what you're doing in that intention every morning. I meet myself. That's purpose, but also gives a hope that I will continue to learn more about myself in this day, or I'll continue to be deeper in relationship in this community that we're in, or and then being able, I love the idea of also zooming out to see like the seasons, like the world that we're in is on this ritual, this rhythm. And if it's good stuff.
It really is. It just makes me feel so happy and just connected.
And honestly, for me, I think it's coming at a perfect time, this conversation. Like I mentioned, I'm in a new space in a lot of ways, and I've been feeling the weird in between of the things I've had before no longer apply now, and trying to figure out like, where are my rhythms, where are my rituals. And funny enough, I was in my storage closet yesterday, storaging yesterday, and I had some decor that I have from my old place, and one of them was a vase, and it fell and it broke. And there's something important about the vase breaking that felt like, oh, I needed to like actually release it. But so seeing that as a ritual, like I'm like, it was a beautiful vase, but I was like, okay, I think I needed to release that, and figuring out how to ritualize that, how to like put more intention and attention to that as a sign of, or an invitation to like end in one way and also begin new rhythms, new rituals to keep myself in this version of myself.
Yes, I think sometimes the universe has rituals, and glass breaking, every single time glass breaks in my life, I get the feeling, I just know that was to mark an ending or a beginning. Like every single time glass breaks, every time a crystal breaks, every time a waist bead snaps, that is the universe telling you end or beginning. And I don't know why, but I always feel it.
Thanks for the affirmation, because I definitely was like, oh no, but okay, this needs to happen. It was one of those like, it felt good to break it. I was like, whoa, okay.
I remember I brought this huge glass vase on to my wedding, on my wedding day. And something told me that glass vase is gonna break by the end of this year wedding day. But I said no, but I love it. I want to fill it with lights, and it's gonna be really pretty. And I got to the wedding venue, we opened the trunk, that glass vase fell right out and shattered right outside of my wedding venue.
That's okay. And it was like,
and I said, I knew it.
What did you feel like that was like for? Like, what do you feel like the sign was?
That break was the beginning. It was my wedding day.
I like that. That break was the beginning. Because breaks sometimes feel like ends, but an end is also a beginning.
And an end is always a beginning.
Ooh. Okay, so thank you. That's a gift. Yeah, honestly, the idea of rituals and seasons and rhythms, because of this conversation, and it's also a lot like perfect timing. I've been really thinking about it, so I'm excited to figure out, or I'm excited to explore what comes up as that becomes more and more. What's the salient? Like what comes up in that journey?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. We have said a lot.
Yes.
I have a lot to process, I feel like, from this conversation.
Same.
What is
A last word. What is anything that we haven't said that we need to say? What is your ancestors whispering in your ear?
Well, the last thing I'm thinking about, I'm always reflecting on now, is how everything ties back to love and whatever definition and version of love looks like. So I know from this conversation, I'll be thinking about how I look at rituals, but always for the purpose of like, how do I make sure that it keeps me in the version of a loving self that I like am always thinking of. And I think that might be the invitation I have for anyone who's listening, is how do your rhythms and your rituals, when you pay attention to them, allow you to be the most loving version of yourself and the most loving version of the community that you're in as well.
Ooh, Marcia. Yes,
Mars.
Oh, that is so beautiful. There's so many loving rituals. I love that so much as a word of advice, as something to consider, as a journal prompt.
Yeah.
You know. That is beautiful. Okay. Now y'all done heard from Mercy. So I know. Where can you contact her? Where can you book her? Where can you hire her?
Ooh, well, stay tuned. I guess my public practice is emerging as a writer, etc. But you can find me on Instagram at EYE_MOLA, Imola. And yeah, yes, my public practice is emerging, but you can book me for keynotes. I do weddings. I do comedy. I'm a multi-purpose tool. Let me know what you need.
Come on. I know that's right. We said hot girls healing. Okay, we multidimensional from the jump.
That's what it is.
Period. All right, now y'all run and find Mercy on Instagram, book her, hire her, and share in community with her. I'm Salenna Green. This has been another episode of the Hot Girls Healing Podcast. If this was the first episode that you've listened to, I'll see you. You'll be back. If you've been rocking with me from before, thank you so much for listening to another episode. You can follow me on social media at Hot Girls Healing Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. I'm also on Twitter at Salenna G, I want to say. One day I'm gonna know that for sure, y'all. I'm always doing this and then I'm like not sure what my social media handle is. I'm gonna do better. I'm on my healing journey. This is not the final version of me.
Right now.
But yeah, I will see you out in community. Bye. See you next time.
Since I know you're tired, since I know you're stressed, you were always favored and you were always blessed. It's all about that. Hot girls healing. We doing it our way. Hot girls healing. We better day by day. Hot girls healing. We doing it our way. Hot girls healing. And it goes on and on. And when it all goes wrong, we'll celebrate so nothing's gonna hold us down. And it goes on and on. The healing takes a toll, but we are proud and strong. Nothing's gonna hold us down. Hot girls healing. Hot girls healing.